If you're over 60 and think your privacy is protected inside your own home, you're about to be shocked. Last week, 74-year-old Stanley discovered his smart TV had been recording his conversations for 3 years and selling that data to marketing companies. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Privacy experts have identified 5 places where seniors are being watched and tracked daily, locations so unexpected that most people would never think to check them. These aren't conspiracy theories, they're documented surveillance methods that are perfectly legal and happening in millions of homes right now. The scariest part? The people watching you aren't strangers, they're companies you invited into your life. I'm about to expose the 5 hidden places where your privacy is being violated every single day and show you exactly how to stop it. Today, you'll learn why your smartphone might be betraying your location to strangers, which household device is secretly recording your daily routine, and the shocking truth about how your medical information is being harvested without your knowledge. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete privacy protection plan that safeguards your personal information from prying eyes. But here's what makes this urgent. The 5th surveillance method I'll reveal is so invasive that it can predict your daily habits better than your own family. Make sure you watch until the end, because that final revelation will change how you think about privacy forever. Hit that like button if you're ready to take back control of your personal information. The first place you're being watched will shock you because it's sitting right in your living room, entertaining you every single day. Your smart TV is watching you, collecting data about what you watch through automatic content recognition technology. But it goes far deeper than just tracking your viewing habits. Here's what most seniors don't realize. Smart home technology, including cameras you can watch from anywhere, are among the most common monitoring devices, and your smart TV is essentially a computer with a camera and microphone that's connected to the internet 24/7. Every time you turn it on, it's not just showing you programs, it's learning about you. Let me tell you about Clarence, a 67-year-old retiree who loved watching old westerns on his new smart TV. What Clarence didn't know was that his TV was recording not just what he watched, but when he watched it, how long he stayed on each channel, and even the ambient sounds in his living room. The TV was building a detailed profile of his daily routine. When he woke up, when he went to bed, who visited his home, and even his health patterns based on bathroom breaks during programs. But here's where it gets truly invasive. The data wasn't staying with the TV manufacturer. It was being sold to data brokers who then sold it to insurance companies, marketing firms, and even potential scammers. Clarence started receiving targeted phone calls about senior living facilities, medical devices, and insurance policies that seemed to know exactly what he needed, because they did. The surveillance happens through multiple methods. First, automatic content recognition scans everything you watch, even content from external devices like DVD players or cable boxes. It creates a fingerprint of every piece of content and matches it to a massive database. Second, voice recognition is always listening for wake words, but it also captures background conversations and ambient noise patterns. Third, many smart TVs have cameras for video calling features that can be remotely activated. Fourth, they track your viewing patterns to create behavioral profiles that predict everything from your health status to your financial situation. Some TVs even monitor your Wi-Fi network to see what other devices you're using and when. Here's the solution: the TV Privacy Lockdown Protocol. First, disable ACR in your TV settings. Look for terms like smart interactivity, viewing information, or interest-based ads and turn them all off. Second, cover or disable any built-in cameras when not in use. Third, turn off voice recognition features completely, not just the wake word detection. Fourth, change your TV's DNS settings to block tracking servers. Use OpenDNS or Cloudflare's family-safe DNS to prevent your TV from sending data to tracking companies. Fifth, regularly clear your TV's data and advertising ID, just like you would clear cookies on a computer. Sixth, consider using a streaming device instead of your TV's built-in smart features. Devices like Roku or Apple TV give you more control over privacy settings and don't have the same deep integration with your viewing habits. Clarence implemented these changes and immediately noticed a dramatic reduction in targeted marketing calls and mail. More importantly, he felt comfortable knowing his daily routine wasn't being broadcast to strangers. The key insight: your TV should entertain you, not spy on you, but you have to actively make that choice. Have you ever noticed ads that seem to know exactly what you were thinking about? That's not coincidence, that's data collection in action. Let me know in the comments what targeted ads have surprised you. The second place you're being watched is probably in your pocket or purse right now, your smartphone. But this isn't about obvious things like taking photos or making calls. This is about sophisticated tracking that happens even when your phone is just sitting on your nightstand. Here's what most seniors don't understand. Your smartphone is constantly broadcasting your location, not just to GPS services, but to dozens of companies that build detailed profiles of everywhere you go, when you go there, and how long you stay. This data is so precise that it can identify your doctor's office, your pharmacy, your bank, and even predict your health conditions based on your movement patterns. Let me share what happened to Mildred, a 72-year-old who noticed she was getting phone calls from medical device companies every time she visited her cardiologist. At first she thought it was coincidence, but the calls were too perfectly timed. It turns out her smartphone was broadcasting her location to data brokers who identified the medical building and sold that information to companies targeting people with heart conditions. But location tracking is just the beginning. Your phone is also monitoring your walking patterns to assess your health status, your sleep patterns based on when the screen is active, and even your cognitive function based on how you interact with apps. Insurance companies are particularly interested in this data because it helps them assess risk without traditional medical exams. The tracking happens through multiple invisible methods. First, location services use GPS, Wi-Fi networks, and cell towers to pinpoint your exact location, even when location services appear to be off for specific apps. Second, accelerometer data tracks your movement patterns, gait, and stability information that's valuable to health insurers and medical device companies. Third, app usage patterns reveal more than you think. How quickly you respond to messages, how accurately you type, how often you use certain apps. All of this creates a behavioral profile that can indicate cognitive changes, depression, or other health issues. Fourth, your phone connects to Wi-Fi networks everywhere you go, creating a detailed map of your daily routine. Fifth, many apps continue collecting data even when you're not using them, running background processes that harvest information about your contacts, your schedule, your photos, and your communication patterns. Sixth, voice assistants are always listening, not just for wake words, but for speech patterns that can indicate health changes. Here's the solution: the smartphone privacy shield method. First, go through every app and disable location services unless absolutely necessary. For apps that need location, choose while using app instead of always. Second, disable advertising tracking completely in your phone's privacy settings. Third, turn off Siri or Google Assistant's always listening feature. You can still use voice commands by pressing a button, but prevent constant audio monitoring. Fourth, regularly review and delete location history in Google Maps or Apple Maps. This data is stored indefinitely unless you actively remove it. Fifth, disable analytics sharing with app developers and phone manufacturers. This setting is often buried deep in privacy menus, but can significantly reduce data collection. Sixth, use airplane mode when you don't need connectivity. Your phone can't track or transmit when airplane mode is active. Seventh, consider using a privacy-focused browser like DuckDuckGo instead of Safari or Chrome, and use encrypted messaging apps for sensitive conversations. Eighth, regularly audit your app permissions and remove apps you don't actively use. Mildred implemented these privacy measures, and the targeted medical device calls stopped completely. More importantly, she gained peace of mind, knowing her health information wasn't being harvested and sold without her consent. She still enjoys all the benefits of her smartphone, but now she controls what information it shares. The key insight? Your smartphone knows more about your health, habits and lifestyle than most family members. The question is whether you want that information shared with companies who profit from your personal data. Here's a quick test. Check your Google timeline or iPhone's significant locations right now. You might be shocked at the detailed record of everywhere you've been. What did you find? Share your reaction in the comments. You're not alone in being surprised by how much your phone knows. The third place you're being watched is particularly disturbing because it involves devices you trust with your life. Your medical equipment and health monitoring devices. These devices aren't just helping your health. They're creating detailed profiles of your medical condition that are being shared with insurance companies, employers and data brokers without your explicit knowledge. Let me tell you about Norma, a 69-year-old diabetic who used a connected glucose monitoring system. She loved that it automatically logged her readings and sent reports to her doctor. What Norma didn't know was that the device was also sharing her data with her insurance company, which used the information to adjust her premiums. When her glucose readings showed occasional spikes, her insurance company flagged her as a higher risk and increased her rates by 40%. But it gets worse. The glucose monitor was also sharing data with pharmaceutical companies who targeted her with ads for expensive diabetes medications and data brokers who sold her information to medical device manufacturers. Norma started receiving calls about insulin pumps, diabetic shoes and testing supplies from companies she'd never contacted. The surveillance happens through seemingly helpful features. First, automatic data sync sends your health information to cloud servers owned by device manufacturers, who often have broad terms of service that allow data sharing. Second, many devices use anonymized data sharing, but health data is so specific that it's easy to re-identify individuals. Third, insurance companies are increasingly requiring connected devices for policy discounts, then using that data for underwriting decisions. Fourth, family sharing features mean your adult children might have access to your health data without you realizing the privacy implications. Fifth, devices often share data with third-party analytics companies to improve services, but this data ends up in marketing databases. Sixth, many medical devices have weak security, making them vulnerable to hackers who can access not just your health data, but also your home network and other devices. Seventh, software updates often change privacy policies without clear notification, expanding data collection without explicit consent. Here's the solution. The Medical Device Privacy Protection Plan. First, read privacy policies carefully before setting up any connected health device. Look specifically for data sharing clauses and opt out wherever possible. Second, disable automatic data sharing features and manually sync data only when necessary. Third, use separate email addresses for medical devices to limit cross-platform data correlation. Fourth, set up dedicated guest networks for medical devices to isolate them from your main home network. Fifth, regularly review connected app permissions and disable sharing with third parties. Sixth, ask your doctor if non-connected versions of devices are available. Many traditional medical devices provide the same functionality without data collection. Seventh, if you must use connected devices, create separate accounts that don't link to your main email or social media profiles. Eighth, monitor your credit reports and insurance communications for signs that your health data is being used against you financially. Ninth, consider using privacy-focused health apps that store data locally rather than in the cloud. Norma took control of her device privacy and immediately noticed fewer targeted medical ads and marketing calls. She switched to a traditional glucose meter for most readings, using the connected device only when she needed to share specific data with her doctor. Her insurance rates stabilized and she felt more confident that her health information was truly private. The key insight? Medical privacy isn't just about HIPAA compliance. It's about preventing your health data from being weaponized against you financially. The companies making these devices profit not just from selling the hardware, but from selling your data. Here's an eye-opening exercise. Check the apps connected to your Apple Health or Google Fit account right now. You might be shocked at how many companies have access to your health data. What did you discover? Share your findings in the comments. Many seniors have no idea how widely their health information is being shared. The fourth place you're being watched will probably surprise you because it's been your trusted companion for years: your car. Modern vehicles, especially those made after 2018, are basically computers on wheels that collect incredibly detailed information about your driving habits, your destinations, your passengers, and, well, even your conversations. Here's what most seniors don't realize. Your car knows everywhere you've been, how fast you drove, how hard you braked when you used your seatbelt, and even biometric data like your heart rate through the steering wheel sensors. This information isn't staying in your car. It's being transmitted to manufacturers, insurance companies, and data brokers who use it to build comprehensive profiles of your behavior. Let me share what happened to Vernon, a 73-year-old retired teacher who loved his new sedan with all the safety features. Vernon appreciated the automatic emergency braking and lane departure warnings, but he had no idea these systems were constantly analyzing his driving patterns. The car was recording every trip to his doctor, every visit to the pharmacy, and even noting when he drove more slowly or took longer to respond to traffic situations. Vernon discovered the surveillance when his car insurance company offered him a safe driver discount based on data they claimed showed his excellent driving record. The problem? Vernon had never shared his driving data with the insurance company. It turns out his car manufacturer was selling driving data to insurance companies who used it to adjust rates and assess risk without customers' knowledge. But the surveillance goes far deeper than just driving patterns. Modern cars record audio inside the vehicle, supposedly for voice commands, but this audio is often stored and analyzed for marketing purposes. Your car knows if you frequently discuss health issues, financial concerns, or family problems. It tracks your phone calls through Bluetooth connections, your contacts through phone sync, and your music preferences through streaming services. The data collection happens through multiple hidden systems. First, GPS tracking records every destination with precise timestamps, creating a detailed map of your daily routine. Second, onboard diagnostics monitor not just engine performance, but driving behavior patterns that indicate age, health, or cognitive changes. Third, infotainment systems analyze your app usage, call patterns, and voice commands to build behavioral profiles. Fourth, many cars now have internet connectivity that sends data to manufacturers continuously, not just during service visits. Fifth, collision detection and safety systems monitor your reaction times and decision-making patterns. Sixth, cars often share data with third-party services like navigation providers, weather services, and traffic analytics companies, creating a web of data sharing that's nearly impossible to track. Seventh, if you use ride-sharing or car-sharing services, your data is being collected not just by the car manufacturer, but by the service provider as well. Here's the solution: the Vehicle Privacy Control System. First, disable all non-essential connected services in your car's settings. Look for terms like connected services, data services, or telematics, and turn them off. Second, opt out of data sharing in your owner's portal account online. This setting is often separate from in-car controls. Third, disable automatic software updates that might change privacy settings without notification. Fourth, use your phone's navigation instead of the car's built-in system to limit location tracking. Fifth, don't sync your phone's contacts or call history with the car's system. Sixth, regularly clear the car's stored data, including call logs, navigation history, and voice command recordings. Seventh, if your car has a built-in hotspot, disable it unless absolutely necessary. Eighth, read your car's privacy policy carefully. It's often available in the owner's manual or online portal. Ninth, consider covering or disabling interior cameras if your car has them for driver monitoring systems. 10th, if you're buying a new car, ask specifically about data collection and privacy controls during the purchase process. Some manufacturers offer more privacy-friendly options than others. Vernon implemented these privacy controls and immediately felt more comfortable knowing his private conversations and destinations weren't being shared with unknown third parties. He kept the safety features he valued, but regained control over his personal information. The key insight? Your car has become one of the most comprehensive surveillance devices in your life, tracking not just where you go, but how you get there, who you're with, and what you discuss along the way. The automotive industry has quietly become a major player in personal data collection. Here's a reality check. If your car was made after 2018, it's probably collecting and sharing your data right now. Check your car manufacturer's privacy portal online. You might be shocked at the data they have on file. What did you find when you looked up your car's data collection? Share your discoveries in the comments. The fifth and most shocking place you're being watched is throughout your entire home, by devices you probably don't even think of as surveillance equipment. Smart thermostats, doorbell cameras, voice assistants, smart locks, and even smart light bulbs are creating a comprehensive picture of your daily life that's being shared with companies, government agencies, and potentially bad actors. Here's what's truly alarming. These devices work together to create what privacy experts call a digital panopticon, a prison where you can be observed at all times without knowing when you're being watched. Your smart thermostat knows when you're home and when you're away. Your smart doorbell records everyone who visits. Your voice assistant listens to your private conversations. Combined, they create a detailed profile of your routines, your health, your relationships, and your vulnerabilities. Let me tell you about Evelyn, a 76-year-old widow who installed smart home devices for safety and convenience. She had a video doorbell to see visitors, a smart thermostat to save energy, and a voice assistant to play music and answer questions. What Evelyn didn't know was that these devices were sharing data with each other and with dozens of third-party companies. The smart thermostat was learning her daily routine and sharing occupancy patterns with energy companies and data brokers. The doorbell camera was using facial recognition to identify her visitors and storing this data indefinitely. The voice assistant was recording conversations, even when she hadn't used the wake word, and this audio was being analyzed by human reviewers for quality improvement. But here's where it gets truly invasive. The devices were also monitoring Evelyn's behavior for signs of aging or health decline. The thermostat noticed she was staying in bed later and setting the temperature higher, suggesting possible circulation issues. The voice assistant detected changes in her speech patterns that could indicate cognitive decline. The doorbell camera noted she was moving more slowly and receiving more medical deliveries. This information was being packaged and sold to companies that target seniors with medical devices, home healthcare services, and even assisted living facilities. Evelyn started receiving calls from companies that seemed to know exactly what health issues she might be developing, all based on data from her own home devices. The surveillance network operates through interconnected systems that most people don't understand. First, smart home platforms like Google Home, Amazon Alexa, and Apple HomeKit aggregate data from all connected devices, creating comprehensive behavior profiles. Second, devices often share data with third-party analytics companies to improve services, but this data ends up in marketing databases. Third, many smart devices have always-on microphones and cameras that can be remotely activated without your knowledge. Fourth, smart home hubs often have weak security, making them vulnerable to hackers who can access your entire home network. Fifth, software updates frequently expand data collection capabilities without clear user notification. Sixth, emergency response features in smart home systems share your personal information with first responders and government agencies, creating permanent records of your health and safety incidents. Seventh, insurance companies are increasingly using smart home data to assess risk and adjust premiums based on your lifestyle patterns. Here's the solution: the Smart Home Privacy Fortress strategy. First, conduct a complete audit of all internet-connected devices in your home. You might be surprised how many you have. Second, change default passwords on all devices and enable two-factor authentication where available. Third, disable voice recording features on smart assistants and delete existing recordings through your account settings. Fourth, cover cameras when not in use and disable always-on listening features. Fifth, set up a separate guest network for smart home devices to isolate them from your main internet connection. Sixth, regularly review and delete data collected by smart home platforms through their web interfaces. Seventh, disable location sharing and automatic data backup features that send information to manufacturer servers. Eighth, turn off advertising personalization settings on all connected devices. Ninth, consider replacing smart devices with traditional alternatives for non-essential functions. Do you really need a smart light bulb that tracks when you turn lights on and off? 10th, if you keep smart devices, read their privacy policies annually and opt out of data sharing wherever possible. Evelyn took control of her smart home privacy and immediately noticed a dramatic reduction in targeted marketing. She kept the devices that provided real safety benefits, but disabled unnecessary data collection features. Most importantly, she felt confident that her private home life was no longer being broadcast to strangers. The key insight? Smart home devices are designed to make life easier, but they're also designed to extract maximum data from your most private space. The convenience often comes at the cost of comprehensive surveillance that extends far beyond the device's intended function. Here's your action step. Walk through your home right now and count how many devices are connected to the internet. Include things like smart TVs, streaming devices, gaming consoles, printers, and security systems. The number might shock you, and each one is a potential privacy risk. How many connected devices did you find? Share your count in the comments. It's often much higher than people expect. Now imagine this. It's 3 months from today, and you're living with complete confidence that your personal information is truly private. No more targeted calls from companies that seem to know your health conditions. No more ads that feel like they're reading your mind. No more worry about strangers knowing your daily routine or family business. Remember Stanley from the beginning? After implementing these privacy protection strategies, he not only stopped the unwanted surveillance, but actually felt more empowered using technology. He kept all the devices that made his life better, but took control of what information they could access and share. The transformation isn't just about privacy, it's about dignity and autonomy. When you're not constantly being monitored and manipulated by companies that profit from your personal data, you reclaim your right to live privately in your own home. You stop being a product to be sold and return to being a person with rights. But here's what I want you to understand. This surveillance isn't happening because you did anything wrong. It's happening because companies have made it profitable to spy on seniors. The good news is that you have more control than they want you to know. Every senior who's taken back their privacy started exactly where you are right now, feeling overwhelmed by the scope of surveillance, but determined to do something about it. If this video opened your eyes to how extensively you're being monitored, hit that like button and share it with every senior you know. This information could protect them from financial scams and privacy violations. Subscribe and ring that notification bell.